Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of the Big Brother Manna podcast. I'm the host. You may know me as Meowth on the internet. Johnny Works, Mana Works. But today, I have a new guest, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, and we're going to have an honest talk, and we're going to check in a little.
Hey Meowth, how you doing, man? And hello everybody. I'm AndresPlays. I've known Meowth through Twitter, X, and I am a games journalist. I just love video games, and that's the way we connected. Just sharing, gameplay videos, thoughts on what we like, and I'm very glad to be a part of your podcast because I also have started a podcast recently.
Right on.
And yeah, and how mine works is a little tedious. I mean, I love it, but we talk about specific games and about specific topics, and to have like a more free form type of podcast, like in this case, I think it's something that I would, I was interested in checking out.
Yeah, see, I do the opposite. I come in with no plan. I think the biggest part of it is, like, as a human being on this planet, my brain just has like a million thoughts all at once, and I use this as like a forum for me and the person I'm talking to like just sort them out live in person with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned we know each other from X/Twitter.
Yeah.
I love how it's always Twitter to at least somebody, no matter who I talk to.
Yeah.
I told this story. I might have told this story with on the first episode with Possible, because he kind of was like talking me through it when it happened.
Yeah.
When I first set up the separate like X Twitter account for this,
Mhm.
I was an idiot and it was like, yeah, we'll just make the birthday today, and this way every year it's like the podcast birthday. And then they immediately like shut my whole account down and said, "You're not 14. You can't be on X."
Oh.
And right. And all of
That's
the
funny.
emails trying to sort it out were from, and I quote, Twitter support, which was very which made the whole thing just really
Oh,
sillier and
yeah.
more frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, renaming stuff in general must be, a pain in the ass, honestly. But
Right.
yeah, man, I just, I'm glad that I've connected with people like you, and to talk about in this kind of way, because you first told me that you know I'm just thinking about how, like, right now it's what men's mental health
Yes.
awareness month,
Yes. Yeah.
right? June. I was just thinking about that. And you sent me a video, right, of Michael Phelps,
Michael Phelps.
talking like super openly about like how he was feeling, like with an open crowd. And it's so crazy that, like, somebody like him, who would you would think that he's like, I don't know, invincible, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
this
Right.
this athlete, like, he probably has it all sorted out or whatever. And to for him to talk this openly and be like, no, like, he's just human like the rest of us.
Right. Right.
I think that's something that really intrigued me, because I mean, of course, it's great to like portray yourself to the world, like you got your shit together, which is awesome. But sometimes we don't, like, especially, like, most of the time we probably don't.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the times, like, some, the lucky ones on this earth that don't like deal with like the anxiety and the depression the way that I do or others do,
Uh-huh.
they they take a look from the outside and they're like, well, what could possibly be wrong with you? And it's like, dude, the most successful man from this country ever deals with this stuff. So if he
Yeah.
can't deal with what's going on up here, what makes you think I can? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I actually, like, I'm also like, the way I've been dealing with it. I think I turned 31 like in August,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I'm
And
35 for the record, so we're
cool.
around the same age. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like, most of my best friends are around that age. They've always been like older. I don't know why, like, people my age or younger, I felt like, they weren't as, not that they weren't mature, but like, the topics that they would bring up wouldn't be in line with what I was thinking.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, man. Now that I turned 30, I think like because of the pandemic and like me not eating well and stuff like that, I think that uh, all of that stuff like caught up to me when I turned
Mm.
29 and 30, and then I just realized that like what because I work from home, right?
Okay.
So that's quite detrimental as well, right, to your mental health to just like be in these four walls and not do anything other than stare at a screen and work. So I don't know. I think that like I needed a change in my life, and that's why I started like doing these video game reviews, going out like to exercise more often, taking walks, and like there's a few like mountains from where I live that you can go
Okay.
hike and stuff,
Oh, that's
and like
awesome.
that's something that I started doing, and it changed my life for the better. Obviously it wasn't like night and day, it was a gradual change, but it's like so important to
Mm.
have a little spice in your life, I think.
Oh, I think my video just cut out somehow, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it's
it's my
uh,
brand name now. What happened? New audio device
it's
detected. No, don't switch. Hello? That's so strange.
yeah.
All
we
right, well,
can we can yeah, try again, it's fine.
yeah, I'll turn it back on.
Yeah, that's how it works always. Turn it on, turn it off
Yeah,
and turn it on again.
yeah, exactly. It's not turning it. You know what? It's I'm gonna keep talking, and if it comes back up, perfect.
All
And
right, yeah, definitely.
if it doesn't, I'm gonna superimpose like a meowth there for the rest of the for what
Like I was always here. Yeah, yeah.
Waba
Sure.
Waba, my last guess was just meant to be the only
Hmm.
guest that got to see me too, I guess, because like the first two episodes I did, I didn't know how to have us both on there, so I just had like
Yeah.
me from like OBS and then like them from Discord, so like they couldn't see me, but I could see them. And I
Okay.
guess I
Yeah.
guess Waba's just the one and only.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, you mentioned like having to adjust from the pandemic, dude. The pandemic
Yeah.
honestly ruined me. And like I know like people's like literal health were affected and people lost family members and like I'm not belittling any of that,
Yeah.
but I was not built to stay inside and just wait to be
Yeah.
told I could go out again. You know what I mean? I was like stressing
Yeah.
out like my friends, my family cuz I was just like overreacting to like the dumbest things. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around. um
Anybody, yeah.
yeah, like
I
like, yeah, um so like, because like I really just need to like hone in a little, I started like
Mhm.
I always was like a little bit of a reader, but like I
Mhm.
really started to like just read again. So like I'd wake up and like I would play like somebody I met out there let me borrow a guitar because like all my music equipment I sold before I moved. I moved to like California, then I
Oh,
moved back here to New England because of the
right.
pandemic mostly. But
Mhm.
so he let me borrow a guitar. So like I'd wake up, I'd spent like just 20 minutes just like strumming on the guitar. Whether I wrote something, just like whatever
Yeah.
was in my heart, you know what I mean? And then I like read for an hour, and like I didn't let myself touch that PlayStation until I like did those two things.
That's that's
Yeah,
a great thing to do, honestly, because I
yeah.
mean, like right behind my computer, my laptop right now, I have like I have so many books. I even got the like I'm looking right now at the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Well, the four books, right? The Hobbit as well, but I haven't read them. I never read them. When I was younger, I did read like some fantasy books, like Narnia and stuff like that. But I've been thinking like I want to get back into reading and reading in English as well. Especially because I'm writing a lot, and I read, but I read articles. I read,
Would you say English is your second language then?
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Okay,
speak Spanish, yeah.
I would. I mean,
But
yeah. I mean, obviously, I can tell you're probably bilingual. Just but I would never like I mean, I don't struggle to understand you at all. I would never tell that it was like the second language for you.
great, thank you, man. No, yeah, I mean, we'll not get into my life story, but yeah, the thing is, I my parents, gave me a good education since I was really young, and I also was always really interested in learning English because I was like, all of these great literature works. This nerdy kid, like I want to read them in the language that they were conceived. Right, that's what I
Right, though
thought back
that makes
then.
sense.
And yeah, I mean, obviously, it opened many doors for me. I mean, I write in English. My video game reviews. I'm a translator. So like I guess it kind of just worked out that way, right? So it's been quite helpful. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I what I'm trying to say is I should read more. Going back to yeah, the main point of what I was saying, but yeah, man, I'm so glad that um you got into that, like, because reading is quite important, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like on the fly trying to like
Hmm.
fix the camera problem.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I as I said, I also have a podcast, so I normally, when someone like coughs or whatever, like, you can edit it out. It's all right. Like,
Yeah.
or just let it flow. I mean, I honestly do
That's
not
what I'm
mind. Yeah. But yeah, man. So you said you read books, and did you? Is it still recording? Yeah, right.
Yes. I'm literally while you're talking, like adjusting it all.
Okay.
So literally,
Right.
I
Right.
just
Right.
turned my camera on through OBS,
Mm-hmm.
and then for whatever reason, turning off my camera in Discord
Mm-hmm.
replaced you on the podcast screen with my freaking Discord profile pic. So while you were just asking about that, I was resizing all that. So now everyone's seeing me and you again the way whatever god they believe in intended. And unfortunately, you can't see me though.
That's fine. That's fine. No, no. I mean, I can work with that. I've had also, as I said, on my podcast, I've had connection issues with my guests as well, which is, as you said, you're on the fly. You try to, your best to readjust and just go with the flow. I think that's something that,
Yeah.
like, um. So I guess I can keep talking, right? I was
Yes.
thinking, man, because yesterday,
That's why I didn't want to like stop, figure out, and start again because you were like talking about
yeah.
like what I mean. Like I want to like keep everything that was like being talked about while I was trying to figure it out. So we're just
All
gonna
right, yeah, yeah. We can do
the
that. I don't
people
mind.
who watch on YouTube can kind of laugh at me as I struggle, and the people listening will never know, and they're missing out.
Yeah. So yeah, I talking about, like, letting go and going with the flow. I was playing yesterday this game called Tales of Kinsera. Sao, this game by this developer who's quite outspoken. Abu Bakar Salim is the name of the developer. He's an actor as well. He was Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. And I was quite intrigued because he made that game to deal with the grief of losing his father, right? And
Okay.
which is a really tough, subject to deal with. I mean, in my personal life, my father once had a heart attack. He's fine now, but he had one like years ago, and I was inconsolable, because I was young and I didn't know how to deal with it. The
Right.
loss of a father is like super
Yeah, my father
um, traumatic. Like,
actually had a brain tumor when I was in either
well,
middle or high school. It was either like late middle school or high school.
yeah.
And it was like not right after, maybe like a year or so after. And I mean, time's hard for me. I can't lie, especially like changing time zone twice after overnights and everything. But
Yeah.
um, it was like not much more than a year after his father had passed away. So like,
Oh my God.
yeah, at a young age, I had to like really just like hone in and be like,
Wow.
life is vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I admire you, man. I mean,
No,
I
he's
as
still with us for the record. I never clarified
Oh,
that.
okay.
My
Oh,
father, my
okay,
father. Yeah, yeah.
okay. Oh, okay.
But
That's
like,
that's even better to hear.
yeah.
Yeah, I was.
But he lost both of his parents already, and both of my grandparents on
Mhm.
like my mother's side
Mhm.
are still here. So like every now and then I just think about that and I'm like, damn, like my dad doesn't have his dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like I try to
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about what
yeah.
I wouldn't do without him, you know what I mean? And like,
Of
yeah, it's
course.
just
Yeah.
just rough. I can never imagine how we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kept
It's quite
trucking on
rough.
and making sure he was there for us even after what he went through, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's how, like, life is for some people. I mean, even this guy, the developer that I was saying, he's also like around our age. He's in his 30s as well,
Mm.
and it's so amazing because you look at interviews, and he looks so composed. And you think that, like, maybe this, like, to have achieved this sense of maturity at such a young age, it's obviously because of the hardships that they've been through. So it's something that's quite admirable. And going to the game, I wanted to say that. Um, it's short. It's a Metroidvania. It's not too difficult, except for some platforming sections, but whatever. What I did like the most about the game was the fact that you had to, like, the lessons in life, because like the ghost of his father is like guiding him in a way,
Right.
and he just, the voice acting is quite passionate. Like, he doesn't want to let go, but he meets other people throughout his journey that are going through similar situations where, like, it's hurting them because they don't want to let go. You know what I mean? Like, it's hurting them so bad, like, it's hurting everyone around them, but they don't want to let go because, it's hard to let go. So I think that's like a really nice message, to just go with the flow, which is obviously, dealing with anxiety and depression. Like, that's, obviously much more difficult than just, you gotta go with the flow. Of course, there's more things, medication, even, uh mental health check-ins, therapy, all of these
Right.
tangible things. But, it's nice to be reminded that, like, sometimes, you're not the only one dealing with these kinds of situations.
One of the first books I read when I really
Yeah.
started like just like shoving my nose in the book um
Yeah.
was by he's like a sports reporter. He mentions him in the Michael Phelps video, Jay Glazer, and
Mm.
like what he deals with and like how he like perceives it and like what he does to get through it. And like he has like what he calls like the four pillars, and one of them's like just laughing, and like like you
Yeah.
fight gray with blue, and like when you laugh, like you bring out like good feelings. And one of them
Yeah.
is like having like your people, and Michael Phelps talks about like having your people who like you can just be honest, be like, hey man, I just need to talk for a second, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think those two
Yeah.
things really like helped me like start to unfold like what I needed to do to be better, and I started like opening up with the people around me, and not just like endless like because like I said, I did not handle COVID well, and instead of like just
Yeah.
ranting about how I couldn't handle it anymore, I like talked about like what I was thinking, made like clear, decisive decisions. Like, all right, well, I gotta go back to New England. I gotta reload. Like, this is like how
Yeah.
can you like help me through like figure this out both up here and literally help me get the, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah. Tough.
and then
Yeah.
like I had to like stop and think like what people, how they responded, like who are my people, and like
Yeah.
and once I like really started to like figure out like what I needed to do differently to like sort out my brain in a more healthy way, that's when I
Hmm.
started like having these ideas. Like you saw briefly, and like the people who were watching YouTube saw briefly, I started that brand where
Hmm.
it's kind of like on pause right now because I just need to be in a better place financially before I can just start producing that stuff again. um
Right.
but the plan is once I have like a store set up and sell things, like I'm gonna give all the money to like charities and mental health organizations. Well, not all. I gotta pay for what I made, obviously, but
Yeah. Of course.
yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
plan is to
That's
make
a
minimal
fantastic
money,
idea.
but and then I start having this idea and like those two pillars, just knowing your people and like laughter. So I'm gonna have people on and let them know that I can be their people, and we're gonna laugh.
Yeah, of course, man. It's quite interesting because during that time, you said the COVID and all of that. I remember, there was a friend of mine who I was really, really close. Alex, his name is Alejandro, but,
Mm,
I remember we lost contact, back in, I don't know, 2012. Life got in the way. I was in high school, then college, and then he moved to another city, and, you
right.
know we just lost contact. As
Yeah.
life happened,
As
and
someone who left the city and then left the other city to come back here, yeah, I've got
yeah.
I've come back to people I thought I missed, and now I miss a whole new set of people.
Wow.
So like
Yeah.
I understand entirely.
And then, yeah, he because of a friend in common, I go see this friend, and he's like, hey, why don't we call Alex, just see how he's doing, hanging out and whatnot. And, we call him, and, after that day, he messages me, and, like, in the beginning it's quite superficial. It's
Mm,
like, you know how's life, what are you doing today, or, how was your weekend, the things that, like, you could ask even a random person, right? Not a close friend, but eventually we start like calling, like, I don't know, a half hour once a week or something, and you start inadvertently just being quite more open with that person, because we all have like thoughts of insecurities, and when we're sometimes we are dissatisfied with our lives in a way, and obviously you can't talk about that with anybody, right? And
Mm.
then I found that I had this close friend of mine who really was available there for me, and so well, and so was I there for him, of course. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that to this day now, from that video that you sent me, that like your friends are like your pillars, your the people that can really help you out in a situation when you're in a crisis, or feeling that you could be feeling worse. It's so great to have those people available for you to reach out to them, like, hey, and you don't even have to tell them that you're not doing well. You can just like talk about whatever, and the mind just works like that, right?
Yeah.
It just lets you, it slowly comes down, right, from whatever crisis it was preparing for you that day, because you have support, and I think that's something very important.
Sorry, I'm like toying just a tiny bit again. I
That's
I
okay.
do think, and like again, this was huge for me, and like I read it in that book, and like I really took it to heart. Is like the
Hmm.
important thing is like being honest about it. You know what I'm saying? Like when that friend is like, "Hey, how are you?" Like if you're just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine," like and you're not fine, like it
Yeah.
doesn't help anyone, you or them. And like
Yeah.
even like I could talk this whole hour about how I could
Hmm.
be doing other things with my life, but I'm a retail worker currently.
Hmm.
And even just like the people in the store
Yeah.
who will be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Just thinking they're just doing regular like people out in the mall stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'll respond with, I've been better, but I'll get through it. You know what I mean? Like, cause like, and
Yeah.
honestly, like it's weird at first because you expect like the guy at the counter to be like, oh, good, good, how are you? Like buy all these
Yeah.
things. But like I find
Yeah.
like the rest of it once like the awkward part is like settled after like a few seconds,
Hmm.
um, tend to be better because like if that person comes
Yeah.
in and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, man, like that's over there. Like, you know what I mean? Like that person
Yeah.
leaves thinking like, oh, what a shitty employee. Like, how does he get away with that? But like that honesty of like, yeah, I don't know, I'm in a funk. I'll get there. I think changes the whole point of view, which changes the whole You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or even vice versa. You know what I mean? Like if the person comes
Hmm.
in like, oh, I have a bad day, I gotta buy something to make myself feel better. Like I know like this person isn't just like being a pain in the ass to be a pain in the ass. They're going through shit. You know what I mean? Like, and it
Yeah.
helps me just take that second to understand instead of like hitting them back with by their own sarcasm. You know what I mean? And like it sounds so simple, but like literally, like not everyone knows like what you go through, and just
Definitely.
the quick second to be like, oh, like I'm figuring it out today, just changes the perspective and probably helps like
Yeah.
conversation. You know what I'm saying? Helps like
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah. I'll just give you a brief example that just
Yeah.
happened to me yesterday. I ordered something from Amazon, a game, well, Elden Ring, actually, whatever.
I
So the guy,
will never play that
the
game. That's unrelated, but just I'm throwing that out
yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, me neither. Me neither, but we're changing that. Anyway, this courier guy, like he comes in, and I have two small Shih Tzus, this cute little dogs, and
Oh,
and
love
and this
that.
guy it's so funny because like he was huge, um, he was like what, 6'1" or something, and like this huge guy was like, "Can I grab a dog?" And I was just surprised by his demeanor, and because like as I said, he looked huge, but he looked soft on the inside. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
looked
yeah.
I look kind, and I said like, yeah, man, sure, of course you can grab it, and I picked up the dog and I let him, pet it, and he was, just playing with him, and then he just went on his merry way, which is I think something, something simple that I just remember that happened
Yeah,
yesterday. But I think that like, you know, in general, a lot of people are just quite uh, untrustworthy of other people, right? So I think, to be vulnerable, to be a bit open, obviously, you have to take care of yourself, and manage each situation
right,
accordingly.
right. Like, obviously,
But
assess the
like,
situation, and if you feel uncomfortable with somebody, then maybe it's not the best thing to tell. Right,
yeah,
for
but
sure.
like but like in this case, I looked at the guy. He was smiling. He was like, "Oh, this cute dogs." I was like, "Well, I mean, he's not gonna like run off with the dog, right? I mean, because like I live in a closed neighborhood, so I mean, whatever. The thing is that
Right, and
I
he's
mean,
doing his job, which means you know where he works and can.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that like before thinking, anything that could go wrong, I just looked at him in a way that like, well, he's probably just a pick me up, like how they say dogs give you like happy hormones as well.
Yeah,
So I think maybe he just needed that. He just needed to pet a dog and feel better after that or something. And I think being vulnerable, in my case as well, it helps me because if I try to be or if I try to act tough, I've realized that that always works out badly for me. I don't know how it works for you, but like I can't handle it. I've tried to like be mean on social media and it hurts me. I
yeah.
sometimes when people talk shit about a game that I love. I don't do it anymore, but
I
I
did
used
no,
to.
no. I did want to talk about this, so I'm glad you brought it there yourself, so I can. But yeah, finish your thought first, and then I'll go there.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, yeah. So awesome that you were thinking about that too, because I think that sometimes or I mean, I in this case, I used to get angry at people because like because when there's ways to say things, right? Like if you didn't like something, you just say you don't like it. But you know how Twitter is with its superlatives, with it's trash or it's slop, it's whatever, which is not the best way to express oneself, and especially me as a writer, I'm like, well, tell me what it is it what is it that you didn't like. But I eventually just let go because I didn't feel good about arguing with people. I mean, if you didn't like it, why am I here trying to like convince you otherwise? I just try my best to connect with people that um, maybe don't think the same as me, but at least are somewhat civil. That's which I think that's all I can ask for, really.
Yeah. So funny story, like kind of like about that.
Yeah.
So like I'm a big fan of these dudes on. They start on TikTok, but they stream and stuff now. They're called Co-op 64.
Oh.
And they'll do things like the host will like pull like a list from like some kind of like website, whether it's like Game Informer or I can't think
Hmm.
of a second one because I'm putting myself on the spot. And it'll be like the top 10 whatever, and they're trying to like guess the list or whatever. And one of them, which is already an opinionated topic to begin with, it was like influential
Hmm.
games or whatever.
Hmm.
And one of the incorrect answers was GoldenEye 64. So I like left a
That's a
comment
classic.
like, "Oh wow, I don't believe that. Like, I don't think we have modern shooters without GoldenEye." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
And to this day, I still get people commenting on that comment about how wrong and stupid I
Whoa. Oh, really? Oh my God. Yeah, man.
And it's funny because like I'll be in their stream and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know if that's a controversial opinion." I'm like, "Listen, I'm done having controversial opinions in your space." But and I'll
Yeah.
I'll respond like, and I at first like people were like being dicks, like, "Oh, you're wrong, get over it." And I was saying things back like, because they're like, "It's not GoldenEye, it's Half Life. You're wrong, get over it." And at first I'm like
Mm.
responding with like, "Hey, guess what? We're both right. Get over it." Like, you know what I
Of
mean? Like,
course. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, and as it went on, I was just getting so tired that like I was like,
Yeah.
so like instead of like being like a jerk and like setting that same like insult back to people, I started being like, hey,
Hmm.
GoldenEye was the first game to have a movie like a shooter game to have like a movable camera by joystick. and
Uh-huh.
other games improved on that,
That's
and
true.
then the current games improved on those games. So to say those games in the middle are influential is also correct, is all I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. I
Like,
think so too.
think of like a car. There was the first car, and there's like the car you drive now.
Yeah.
But like, how many times did cars evolved in between? And all of those things exist. it
Yeah.
didn't just like snap a finger. And so like I've since muted it, but
Yeah,
like
that's great. Yeah.
people, because people not all people want to be reasonable. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad you did that, man. And it's so funny that you mentioned that as well because sometimes even people that are, not as often on social media are also caught in the crossfire because I mean, somebody like me, which I don't know, I tweet what 5 times a day or something like that,
I wish I only
about
tweeted 5 times a day.
yeah, like I mean, obviously I reply to people as well, but I mean
Right.
like whatever it is that I'm playing, a gameplay video or pictures or my thoughts in general, but I also do try to not participate in the daily discourse because yeah, it can be tough. But anyway, my example is that I have a friend of mine who like really doesn't spend too much time on the internet. He's quite like he's not too tech savvy, honestly,
Hmm.
but he made a video on TikTok, right? Not even dancing or anything, just like introducing himself or something. He just you know wanted to try it out. Um, and he told me that like for some strange reason the algorithm picked it up and like it showed him to like a few thousand people and people were really mean about it. They told him like, you old man. I mean, he's in his 30s as well, like he isn't even that old, but they told him like, you
Yeah.
old man, you don't know how to use this app, like you don't know how to edit video, like get off the app or whatever. People being super mad and angry at him
Yeah.
even though
Like,
he didn't really like say he didn't even say anything controversial.
not everyone's
um
on the internet to be a megastar either. Some people were just like, "Oh,
yeah.
hey, here's just somewhere to talk," so I did it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
like, and that's the thing, man. Like, a lot of people, like, I mean, sometimes, and it could be true of me as well. There was a time when I was a little like angrier, maybe at myself, and you lash out on social media.
yeah. I mean, I do it.
You,
I'm a big hockey fan, and there's a lot of room there to get into stupid arguments. Between hockey and wrestling, I get into a lot of just dumb
oh,
arguments.
yeah,
And like it's exhausting after a while, and I have to just be like, what am I doing here?
yeah,
like
just
I'm like
like,
physically tired from this. Why is this important to
yeah.
me? For
Yeah, that's
sure.
happened to me. Like, I mean, obviously, it's Twitter and social media in general, and it's exaggerated. When they say like, touch grass or go play a game. But honestly, sometimes that is the solution. Logging off. Going out to see friends. There are days in which like I just don't tweet or don't like do anything for like 1 or 2 days,
Mm.
which like it's kind of important for me like right now to be somewhat active because I have interviews with developers or like video game reviews and stuff like that, and it's important to me, but at the same time like I can't let that affect my mental health as we've been saying, because I think that's what's most important. And if I write well, or if my video or podcast or whatever it is we do is good, then hopefully people will notice it on their own, and I
All
won't
right.
have to be like working my ass off trying to promote it. Sometimes things work in their own way. Thankfully.
I spent like most of my 20s in like punk bands and like
Oh,
as a
fantastic.
musician. So like I do have that like old school like promote the shit out of it like mentality, which makes
Yeah.
this whole like fishing for the algorithm thing
Yeah.
like stupid and hard for me, because like I just want to rest on my laurels of like showing up to the show with my flyers and my CDs, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah, of course, definitely, man. I get you.
But you kind of you we kind of talked about it a little bit. I think one of the reasons
Hmm.
like I'm glad we like follow each other and like I think we get along well, and like I want to have you on is
Thank you,
um
man.
your opinion, and I mean this in a healthy way, is like very important to you, and like people try their hardest to move you with what they think is their correct opinion, and you don't budge. And you don't budge an inch. And like, yeah, like maybe sometimes like you could have been more polite about it. And like,
Yeah.
but like, I don't know, I respect that. Like I respect that you're like, no, like I think this is really good and I want to talk about it and I'm gonna keep talking about it. And the game that comes to mind is Forspoken.
Oh,
Like
oh wow.
I've seen you defend that like you've created
Yeah.
it. But like I respect
That's
that.
funny,
That like
man.
the popular opinion says one thing. You said I don't care. I'm gonna play it anyway, and you love it enough that you're willing to defend it. I respect that a lot.
Yeah, it's really funny, man. Because yeah, even since I was a kid, I was told that I was really stubborn, and I really am. But obviously, as we've been saying, I try my best to align and focus my energy on things that really matter, which is like not fighting about Forspoken. Like I remember one of my latest hit tweets, viral tweets that came out of me saying that like Forspoken deserved better. I saw this YouTuber who had like what 50,000 followers like say something like in disagreement, and I just said like you're wrong. Like I'm not gonna argue with you. Like I'm not gonna do a 20-minute video of it because there's already people that do that. I'm not the only
Right.
one out there. It's so funny because actually like I have an interview with one of the developers of Forspoken.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
The cinematic director. Yeah, it's a really fun time. But um, while she agreed on some faults that the game had, about like the fades to black and stuff like that, minimal things. I think that I still argue that like people were that the game was very harshly criticized. Like you look at it and I
Just
think that.
real quick,
Uh-huh.
just before we get too far from what you just said,
Yeah.
um, as like an artist of sorts, like as a musician,
Hmm.
like I think some people don't understand that like people do have that kind of self awareness of
Yeah.
like, oh wow, like I really could have like hit that note better, or like, oh yeah, I mean like we if we had more time and resources, like we could have fixed this in the game, and like
Yeah.
no one like I don't I'm trying to find the right word
Yeah.
here. Like that
Yeah.
self-awareness already like exists in the artist, I'll just say. Like I mean, I know you're talking about a developer, but
No,
so
it's the same
like
thing. I mean,
so like to
the.
rag on that person
Mhm.
isn't constructive because you're just taking a bad feeling that probably already exists in the person and amplifying
Yeah.
it. Like and I'm not saying like things aren't meant to be critiqued and shouldn't be critiqued. It's just
Mhm.
there's just healthier ways to do it. Like, you know, but
Yeah, yeah,
continue.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. No, no. I mean, you're absolutely right. Yeah, of course. The developers like in a way maybe like coding is a little more strict. But in the case of the developer that I interviewed, she was the cinematic artist. So of course, I think that there's a little bit more art involved in that sense.
Mhm.
So I think, as you said, she was aware of that. She was aware that the game isn't perfect. But at the same time, she was also taken aback by the harsh, because if you can just look like right now you can look on YouTube like Forspoken,
Mhm.
and it just felt like that was the trendy thing to do, the cool thing to do.
Was to pile on for
Which
spoken.
was yes, exactly, man. And like regardless of what I or whoever says that, like that definitely, and I said that on a tweet as well, like that poisons your view. I mean, it's hard. Not everybody is as stubborn as me to be like, you know what, whatever, man. I will make up my own mind.
Mhm.
A lot of
Right,
people are quite
right, and I think that's like
yeah.
what like we have in common, and like a big reason I want to have you on is just like the ability to like form your own opinion and stand by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for saying that. But also, like, I mean, and not to come off in an aggressive way or anything, but I just wanted to clarify that, just because I do have like, strong opinions, or I write reviews, and I stand by by what I say. That doesn't mean that you know uh, um I that there's people with very different thoughts than I do. Like I know that every review is subjective. Every
Hmm.
one of us has a
Oh yeah.
really different like. I mean, I know exactly what I like. I know there's people, I've seen people that like have, I don't know, man, 1,000 hours or 5,000 hours on World of Warcraft,
Hmm.
right? Or Destiny, or whichever game, and I like, because they like the gameplay, and I like good stories. I like a story that can move me,
Hmm.
and sometimes I also like, cool gameplay and dodging and whatnot. So I think that I know that almost nobody is as how can I say this, as eclectic, I guess, in their
Right.
genres
Just
as I
like
am.
just like you have your opinion that you feel strongly about, people
Yeah,
have theirs. And
yeah.
like that doesn't mean like it has to be a fight or an argument. Like two
Yeah.
people should be able to feel strongly about what they feel strongly about and get
Hmm.
along or at least coexist. Like you know what I'm
Definitely,
saying?
definitely.
At
Yeah.
least cuz like if you see something like you don't like, I mean, again, like there are people who make a living giving critiques and reviews and stuff, and if
Hmm.
they have like a clear thought out, I didn't like this, here's why, and they can make money that way, I'm by all means. But if you're just like
Yeah.
scrolling, you're doing your thing, and you see something that truly just you don't like, just keep going, just keep scrolling. You know, that's at least that's me at least. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, what you said there is I think a life lesson for a lot of people. Because that's all they do. I mean, it's certain. It's been known for
And
years
I think it's
now that,
possible to
yeah.
like to see something and be like, oh, I disagree, and here's why, and like have a healthy discussion and like,
Hmm.
but like if you look at it and for whatever reason the emotion you get is anger or rage or the need to like be harsh, maybe
Yeah.
don't have the conversation, you know. maybe
Yeah. No.
maybe just both keep enjoying your lives.
Yeah. No. But that's what I was trying to say. That on social media, it's been known
Mhm.
that outrage is rewarded, right? So I think that,
Yeah.
Forspoken, for whatever reason, a black protagonist. Some people say the cringy dialogue, which I didn't find it that way, but um, or they say the map was empty, which I also disagree. But whatever, I think that whatever reason that you can find, I think that it was trendy to hate on that game, maybe because it was also a PlayStation exclusive. You know how
Mhm.
they are like judged differently, but you can look at a myriad of reasons, and that's
Well,
fine.
funny
But
funny enough,
uh-huh.
I mean, I think like for me, my first spoken is the
Hmm.
Horizon games, where I feel they get a lot of crap just because they just came out around the same time as games that tend to be more popular. And like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
defend it like you defend First
Yeah, man, it sucks because I love Horizon as well, man. I
Yeah.
I have like I got a shirt of Aloy. I've shared it on social media. Like I got it right there. Of Horizon Forbidden West. I love that game too, and I've also gone to the trenches as well
Yep.
with
Horizon's definitely
Horizon.
my first spoken.
But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to that. I think there's sadly some games that we can't really know, that are just going to be singled out by the community at large, the gaming community at large on the internet, and they will just hate that game maybe like right now and like 5 years from now, because I even like praise, I don't know, Mass Effect Andromeda, another game that was,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
it's
was
just
not recepted
whatever.
well.
And then like if I praise it like right now, I know there's gonna be people like, you got bad taste, or I'm gonna be offended through a DM or something like, and it's just it's inconceivable for me to think that, like, I mean, come on, man, I just praised the game. Maybe if I was being rude, um maybe I could think that, like, yeah, maybe I had it coming, right? But
Mm.
that's the only thing that I just had to make my peace with it,
Yeah.
because it was kind of affecting me as well, which is, if I'm praising something and you're like criticizing me for it, then whatever, man. Like it's I think it's more like a you problem than a, you know than something that I did.
Yeah. Like yeah, I it's funny because like I encourage people to have strong opinions that are their own opinions and like how they truly feel.
Mhm.
Just without the harshness. So at work, like we'll talk
Yeah,
sports to like pass the time or whatever. And
nice.
I don't know if you how much you follow basketball, but
A little bit.
our basketball fans and we'll talk like greatest of all time is like probably the most toxic discussion in any sport, but a lot in basketball. And
Yeah,
like I confidently spit out the unpopular opinion of Tim Duncan every time.
yeah.
He's the reason I fell in love with the game. He's the reason I still like that team without him. Like to me, without him, I was never a basketball fan. That makes him the greatest of all time, and I stand by it.
Right. Of
And
course.
a dude we used to work with would be like, "Oh, well, I mean, Dwayne Wade's probably like my favorite, but he's probably only like really top five." Like, no, dude, screw that. He's your favorite. He's the reason you
Yeah.
love basketball. He's the best. Say it with pride. Like, don't appease these people. Say it with your
Uh,
heart. And I feel like you're that kind of person, like I am. Like have your opinion. Be proud.
yeah. It's funny, man. It just happened to me, and I mean, I'm so sorry because we were talking about mental health, and I bring it all back to games, but
No, I
it's
mean this
true.
is
I
we're
play a lot of
gamers. We're
damn games, man. Like,
we're
and it just happened to me recently. My last podcast, actually, with a friend, um, Big Nerd Gaming. I think that
Oh, you just
uh,
posted earlier. You just did something with them
yeah,
recently,
like
right? Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago, we
Mhm.
talked about Harold Halibut, this game, this German English game that had like stop motion claymation art style, which was really beautiful. But what I really liked was the story, man. I like it. It played some licensed music that I knew about. Um, like the stories about like trying to find yourself in a place that, like, in a world that doesn't really vibe with you,
Mm,
is something that I really connected with, man. Because I
great.
mean, as we were talking about, and then just to say it briefly, I mean, I've been able to travel some places in the world. I'm from Mexico, but I've been able to go to Canada, to Ireland, to the U.S. as well, to study and do other stuff, just being a tourist. But sometimes when you travel alone, it's difficult to find your footing, to find your real friends. And
Yeah.
you said it as well when you move cities. uh, I think you can understand where I come from when a story is like as super vulnerable as that way, which is, like, I've been here. I remember when I was in high school, I stayed there in Canada, in Ottawa, for like 6 months,
Hmm.
and like the first month, I hadn't really found my click,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
my friends yet, and I was like, was this the right choice to do? I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling insecure, and thankfully, over time, and me being a little more assertive, thankfully I found people that I still talk to, which is, I think, the best thing ever. I love traveling now, and I
Yeah.
think that's just a part of it. Not everything is going to turn out um
Just earlier, I
great,
was
like.
reaching out to my California friends, so I understand that. Like, I love having people. Now I have people to visit. You know what I'm saying? Even yeah, it stinks that I left them, but like,
Yeah.
but the bright side, like now I have people somewhere else. I can, you know what I mean? And I just reached out to one of them earlier, actually, while I was waiting for you. Like, hey, having a silly debate on TikTok. I think you'd appreciate. Want you to weigh in, and I am gonna ask you before we're done, but we'll get to it when we get to it. It's a very silly debate, but I am gonna get your input on it before we're done.
Yeah. All
Um,
right.
but yeah, you're saying like it's a story, like a good story, a relatable story is what kind of like brings you into those games. Um,
Yeah.
it's cool. So like as like a musician, like music's important to me. Um, and like as like a
Yeah.
gamer, a lot of times like I don't always have like the consistent reason of why I like, you know what I mean? Like I can like one game for one reason and like it, dislike it for another reason.
Yeah.
And same thing with music. It's like yeah, like I kind of like can go from any genre to another thing, but like really dislike something from something that seems similar. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Yeah,
But
sorry. Just
oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just briefly. I just wanted to say that I love that you said that, because honestly, there are times when I just don't want to review a game because I don't want to analyze my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and try to understand why is it that I love it so much. Obviously, I can have a general idea of maybe the music, maybe how you can do the parry or something like that. But generally, if I really love a game, and I don't have to review it,
Hmm.
I just think that it's best to just vibe with it and be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it, and I don't want to explain myself.
So what's funny
And
is,
that's
no, I agree with what you're saying entirely. But like what I was
yeah.
like trying to like honestly, funny enough, was like getting at is like I almost found the explanation.
Yeah.
So you know who Will Wheaton is?
Who?
Will Wheaton?
Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So recently I listened to him perform like an audiobook of like his own book.
yeah.
Um and he was saying like
I like his voice.
yeah, he narrates a lot of my favorite audiobooks, but which is why I wanted to hear him do his own. But he was
Yeah.
talking about how when it was a blog, he was able to start everything with like a lyric of a song he liked. But now that it's like
Hmm.
official and out there, he can't, and he has to like beat around the bush and everything else. But like while he
Exactly.
was on that rant of like why those songs are important to him and how like songs connected him to what he was thinking and everything, he said something super simple, and like I'm paraphrasing a tiny bit because I don't remember the exact word for word, but
Yeah.
he said good music invokes an emotion.
Yeah.
And like with that in mind, like it put like a meaning behind like that, like I don't know, I just like it, you know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
like this story like related to something I feel about myself and that's why I like it, or like I had a fun time playing with these controls and that's why I like it. It's just like something about the game, the song, the book evoked an
Yeah.
emotion, and that's what made it good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're. Yes, I think that, and obviously it's not important to dig deeper. To just feel something, man. I
Right?
think that's
Yeah.
I think that's just like a successful work of art in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself. You don't need. I think I was playing this game called Road 96, and in the beginning of
Okay.
the game, it asks you a few questions. And one of the questions was exactly that. Why do you watch a movie? And it was to kill time, to be entertained. Because I didn't have anything else to do. And one of the answers was to feel something.
All
And
valid
and
answers in
I
their own right, by the way. Like all valid answers in their own right.
Exactly. Yes, definitely, man. I mean, yeah, they're all valid, but it resonated with me a lot, because that's how art works. You never know what's gonna click with you.
Hmm.
Just as you could like cry with a very emotional storyline. Maybe someone else can cry after defeating a boss who like killed them 500
Hmm.
times. Like we all work differently, which is obviously very interesting.
Right, yeah, we all have our reasons. And just on the opposite side of the same coin, like life is
Yeah.
so much about like human connections and just having that like
Hmm.
ability to put something out in the world that might make somebody feel something is like powerful as an artist, as a reviewer, as a podcaster, as anyone, as a human being on the planet.
Yeah,
uh
yeah. I mean, I'm so glad that you're a musician, man. Because last year I was gifted a vinyl of the soundtrack of a game called Season: A Letter to the Future,
if
and
you said
now I.
transistor, I was gonna hang up on you.
Oh no,
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 a
because
season.
I collect like vinyl soundtracks like
Yeah,
for games, and
I'm
like
doing that now, man.
yeah, I have some pretty good ones. But like I don't
Awesome.
know if you ever played the game Transistor.
Yeah, I have.
Soundtrack
Yeah, yeah,
is
of course. Super
fucking
Giant.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And that vinyl like is only like being resold for like $300+ on eBay.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I always tell my friends like if I ever make it, quote unquote, there will be signs, and that vinyl being on my wall will be it.
Hopefully you do, man. Of course, it's. Yeah, and as I was saying, this game, Season: A Letter to the Future, I love the game, and to have, I don't remember. Obviously, I had probably listened to vinyls at some point in my life, but
Mm,
I couldn't remember. And to have, um, the needle just like hit the vinyl and just start
yeah.
making music. I think that like it really makes you see it in a different way
Mm,
and make it a more of a special moment than just looking it up on Spotify.
yeah, no, for sure. It's funny.
Yeah.
Me and my brother Alex kind of talked about this on the episode he was on, where like music for me isn't like a background activity. It's like the activity. Like I enjoy the music as like a full body experience. So like even at like the gym, I'll like listen to like sports radio and podcasts because if I start listening to a song, I'm gonna sit there and like air drum while people are waiting for me and like and walk around like mouthing and like
Yeah.
like
That's amazing,
but yeah,
man.
but I think that's
Yeah.
what makes vinyl so cool. Besides the collectability of it, it's just like
Uh-huh.
it adds like an involvement to listening music. It becomes like an
Mhm.
activity instead of just like having it on.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course. I mean, I have my vinyl player like right next to me here, and it's that like you have to set it up. You plug it in, you put on the vinyl. Like it's a whole deal.
hmm
Which actually does make it really special. And Yeah, I have a few vinyls that I will share when they get here.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and
I'm
now I've
always
become
posting mine. You've probably seen.
yeah, I looked them up actually. I've seen a few, but I didn't know you were like a vinyl collector as well.
Yeah,
I've become a bit of a fan as well of those.
yeah. Like I also try to like get my hands on like albums of like musicians and bands that mean something to me. But I
Hmm.
really focus on the soundtracks right now. But
Yeah, video game soundtracks, man, they're so underrated. I think.
mm,
I think there's people there that are working on that space that are doing some that are doing some amazing stuff, and I think
yeah.
that more people should pay attention to that because
The music
they're
is
like,
part of
oh,
the
video game
environment, which makes it
music.
part of the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, man. Like it's there are moments. I played a game called Sable.
mm.
And Was the name of the band Japanese Breakfast? I think
Oh,
that the
I don't have that info off the top of my head to be honest with
Yeah, no, no. But
you.
anyway, yeah, this artist made this soundtrack for the game, and you're driving this like flying motorcycle, and then like the game pans out and the music starts playing, and you feel like in awe of the mountains and the landscape, and the music just adds to that to a point that it really makes it important to be something that developers really have to pay attention to it because music sound effects are all part of
Yeah.
the experience.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
All right. So we did things a lot differently than the other guys. Those guys
yeah.
like would have talked about gaming and music and everything else for the entire like hour, and then I had to like reel them in and be like, all right, well, like let's talk about you for a little bit. You did the opposite, which I appreciate. So
Yeah.
now that we got like the nitty gritty out there, I am
Hmm.
gonna ask you some fun stuff. what's a
Oh,
what's a game you're
yeah.
looking forward to?
uh I just listened to the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack, so probably Kingdom Hearts 4.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love that game, man. I got Sora right here, man. Like this is the only amiibo that I have. Like I I played it, 20 years ago, so obviously
Mm,
it's a soft spot for me. It's nostalgia more than anything. But
you
yeah,
should. I should get you in the same call as my buddy Pasta. Then he's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. My buddy who did the first episode with me.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Um, my only experiences with the game, even though I owned it, was like sitting in his bedroom when we were kids watching him play it. To be honest, I think I think for me it's Astrobot.
Well, oh yeah. I mean that's
I
I think that game's gonna give me a lot of joy when I get to play it. Definitely.
I unironically think that like the Astrobot's Playroom that like comes pre-installed on your
Hmm.
PS5 is one of
Yeah.
the better PS5 games. So I
I
am pumped for a full game. One
I
probably the
I
most
do
excited since
remember.
Spider-Man 2, to be honest.
I do remember that excitement on November 2020 when I got the my PS5, and feeling that controller. A lot of
Mm,
people say it's a gimmick and a fad, but I love the DualSense features. I love the haptic feedback. I love that the triggers have some resistance to
mm,
them. And Astro's Playroom was the perfect showcase for that, because I
Yeah.
think that's when I was like, whoa, like this is the future.
Which is like
And
what makes it so fun is like it was kind of
yeah,
just meant to be like a demo, but like it's a really good game. Like
yeah, yeah. They knocked it out of the park, but sadly, not a lot of games have used it in a creative way. I can just think of a few, like Returnal,
Hmm.
and and that's it. Like obviously there are more out there, but I think there's only a very few games that really took advantage of the
For
controller.
sure. Okay. So you do interviews with people. Um
Sometimes, yeah.
so me and Waba last week talked about like who like his biggest fish was. Like,
Ooh,
he got to talk to the creator of Killer Clowns at PAX. Because they talked to the game
wow,
people, but he actually talked to people from the movie too while he was talking to them. So like
whoa,
that's like his wow moment. Like who's your biggest fish right now? Like who's your proudest like my work got me in a face to face
wow.
with this person.
That's amazing. I mean, obviously, it's in my case right now. I do gotta say, the interview that's just gonna come out with the lead cinematic artist of Forspoken,
Hmm.
of the Forspoken DLC. It's called Intenta We Trust. Her name is Rosa Jokiaho. We started connecting on Twitter when I was fighting for the game.
Yeah, you were her champion.
And yeah, I was doing my best, but anyway, we connected, and I said, like, would you like to be on my podcast after I started that this earlier this year? And she said, like, yeah, sure, but you have to go through this process,
Oh, like the proper
because
channels. Yeah,
yeah, I had to send like emails to like Square Enix, and like talking with people from Square Enix was quite I mean, not nerve-wracking. I wasn't nervous. I was just really excited, because like Square Enix makes some of my favorite games, like Final Fantasy, obviously, and Kingdom Hearts as well,
mm.
Dragon Quest, whatever. So I think the whole process, obviously talking to her, first and foremost, but also being able to talk with the people in PR of Square Enix, and showing them that, like, I got what it takes, to have
Yeah,
a fluid conversation, and in an interesting talk about the topics about their games, which is fantastic, I think. Yeah.
awesome. Um, so like I have a feeling you might have answered this accidentally already, but
Yeah,
so
I can change my answer if
no,
you
no,
want.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
To be fair, when me and Alex had this part of the conversation, he thought he knew mine, and I bamboozled him.
Uh-huh.
So, what's like what's like the
Yeah.
game that like influenced you to like be a gamer? Like, there's no
Wow.
right answer to this, but like what? And if you have to come up with it now on the spot, like what's a game you played when you were younger that made you go, "Wow, like I love gaming,"
Wow.
or even just encourage you to play other games, even.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I mean, how much younger? Because like throughout my
up to
life,
you.
there's
It's up to
there's
you.
been like there's been a few games, obviously, like,
Would it
but
help if I
yeah.
told you what I told him quick?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
if
Go
I
ahead. Go ahead.
so because like I straight up was like, so like I have earlier memories of video games. Like my earliest video gaming memories are Kirby's Adventure and Punch Out on the NES. Um
Perfect. Yeah, yeah.
but
That's yeah.
but I would have to give credit as like an influential game to me as a gamer to Super Smash Brothers because it like introduced me to characters I didn't know about and encouraged
Mm,
me to like research those characters. Like I don't think I play Metroid without Super Smash Brothers. I have no idea
yeah.
who Ness is without Super Smash Brothers. Persona 5 I only played because they put what's his name in Super Smash Brothers. So to me that's an influential video game because it like opened doorways I didn't know about.
Uh huh.
So I don't know if that
Yeah.
helps you think of like a game that helped you
No, no. I mean,
realize there's more to gaming than just yeah.
yeah. There's a few, man. I mean, like, it's not that I'm struggling to have an answer. It's just that
Hmm.
I have too many. That is the
Oh,
problem. I mean,
I thought you didn't like understand the question at first when you started asking. Like, well, how
no,
do you want
no,
me to
no.
go?
Well,
Yeah, yeah, that was my fault. I
Pokemon,
misunderstood you. I misunderstood you.
Pokemon Blue, Dragon Age, Life is Strange. These three games. Pokemon Yellow, and Blue as well. Like, those were the first. Like, okay, this is what gaming is about. Leveling
Hmm.
up. Um, attacking that part of my brain that's like, whoa, you're getting stronger, you're progressing. I think Pokemon Blue was the first one that on the Game Boy, this
Mm.
brick uh that I had. I think that was the first time that I first really uh thought about gaming. Like, this is something that I don't want to go out, like, this is what I want to do. You know what I
That was
mean?
the
When I
beauty
was
of
a kid.
Pokemon, though, is you can bring it with you.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I mean, that would have been like, I don't know. I mean, I do remember, like, friends playing like
You remember,
soccer, like
we had it
football,
rough when we were
and
kids. We needed the worm light to play in the dark, dude.
yeah, yeah. I remember having a flashlight for that. That
Yeah.
was the worst. I mean, that was, yeah, that was rough. But yeah, I mean, you get that game, you get, Dragon Age, which has this like intrinsic story
Mm.
about different characters, and important choices that you make, and have repercussions. That was the first time when I was like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't have killed that character or something, like, because that, like, by the end of the game, that had some major impact on my decisions.
Yeah, no, that's
On
valid.
my ending. So, like, that was pretty awesome to think, like, I mean, obviously it also gave me anxiety to be like, oh, what's gonna happen if I choose
Yeah.
this
How many times
faction
have
or
you
that
have you
faction?
started a game like that and said to yourself, "I'm gonna be a jerk this playthrough," and then can't bring yourself to do it while you're playing?
Yeah, no, I've never been a jerk. I mean, in Mass Effect, I've never, punched the reporter, the journalist. I've never been able to do it.
Can't
That's
do
like
it.
super.
Can't do it.
Yeah, and lastly, Life is Strange because of the music. The music is quite amazing.
I think I have the CD, not the vinyl, like the CD of that soundtrack somewhere in my
That's
in
awesome.
my collections.
Mhm.
Yeah. Man, I
Uh-huh.
loved that game right up until the ending, and I can't get by how much I did not like that ending.
On Life is Strange, you mean like the two different endings,
Yeah,
or?
I just felt like no matter what I picked, I was just deciding to undo the whole game.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I mean, I was a little selfish there. I was like, you know what? Nobody really liked her, so, like, fuck this down. Like, let's let's just go.
Yeah, like the
Just
game
Chloe and
is
her.
well
But obviously, it
written
was like,
otherwise, and like it
yeah,
it tackles like a lot of like
mhm,
important shit, to be honest.
yeah,
But yeah, just like at the end when I realized, okay, so either everything I did gets literally erased or
yeah,
gets erased by a giant storm. Just I don't know, didn't feel great.
yeah. No, either ending was left me like somewhat empty. Like
Mm.
that's definitely one of the games where you say where that phrase that say, like, that the journey is what matters. Like,
Hmm.
I think that game is
That's
is,
fair.
is the best definition of it, because yeah, they end up happy, but like everybody like dies, the town literally
Hmm.
disappears. I mean, like, how happy can they be? Like, they'll be haunted by the ghosts of the past. But
Right.
anyway, we're getting too much into it. Yeah, Life is
No,
Strange.
get into it. Get into it.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna ask one fun question,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna give you a last chance to bring up anything you need to feel satisfied. But
All right.
all yesterday and a little bit of this morning, I have been having
Mhm.
the dumbest debate on TikTok, and I want you to weigh in.
All right.
Okay, so for context,
No.
the original video was asked the question, what three NBA teams are named after something that doesn't exist? And two of the correct answers, and they don't give
Hmm.
you the third one, they're bastards. They make you try to guess in the comments. But the two
Yeah.
answers they give you were Wizards, okay, sure, and Magic. I
Okay.
argue Magic
Uh-huh.
exists because I can hire a magician to come to my niece's birthday party and perform magic,
Yeah.
and I know it's all bullshit, but what they're performing is magic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in the eyes of the kid, obviously, you can't take that away from them. To them, it's magic. To them, the rabbit did magically appear from the hat. Like, I think that, yeah, or like the card trick, that is
Hmm.
magic.
It's magic, and everyone is hitting me with like you're confusing like illusions and sleight of hand with spells and spell casting. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm being quite clear about my argument that doing the sleight of hand, doing the illusion, learning
Uh-huh.
how to perform the trick
Hmm.
is the art form magic. And because you
Okay.
can learn to perform magic, even if it's all
Uh-huh.
games and acting,
Hmm.
means magic exists.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, the argument is not as I thought you were gonna hit me with something like super complex
No, I told you it was dumb.
or like a moral conundrum or something like that. Put me on the spot. But no, no, no. I mean, this is perfect. I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't know, man. I was a kid and I loved and I've always loved magic. So uh, it's funny because I have a friend of mine who says he hates magic, like because where does it come from? And I like when they kind of like ground it in these modern stories, like,
Mhm.
oh, it comes from these crystals, like Final Fantasy, or it's something that's finite, it's something that it's not endless, which kind of puts it makes it like a more real story, even
Mhm.
though it's magic. But I think, yeah, going back to that question, which is funny. This is really
It's
funny,
like
honestly. But
stupid and goofy, but it's honestly a pretty good debate topic.
yeah,
Because like
yeah,
pro,
I think
and I
it's a
said
good
this in
question.
those comments too. Like pro wrestling, scripted,
Hmm.
acted, stunts, not
Hmm.
not combat, but it's an art form, and the genre is pro wrestling. Pro
Yeah.
wrestling exists, even though it's a story and it's an act and it's fake.
Hmm.
So like performing magic tricks is like performing and acting and but like it's an art form
Uh huh.
that exists that you can learn to perform. Like
I think those are good examples. On wrestling, because a lot of people who don't get into it or can wrap their heads around it.
oh,
It's
love to tell you it's not
it's
real. Like you
it's
don't know.
it's Yeah, I mean, they know, we all know, but at the same time, the way it's a profession, like that's why, they get paid the big bucks because, they get hit on with chairs and they jump from like risky spots and like, it's I
Yeah.
think that's I think it's kids and eventually, adults who like make it part of their lives. They love it because it makes them feel that, it's their lives are at real risk, like it's they have these larger than life
Yeah.
personalities, which is part of the show. And I think that's maybe just like magic, something that makes you happy, man. And if it makes you happy, then who cares if it's real or not.
Oh no, I know. For sure.
Right.
And I made sure eventually to like say to everyone who were getting like mad at me, like, listen, man, I'm just enjoying debating this. Like it's really not that important. And because it's not
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
important, that makes it a fun debate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because in the
Yeah,
long
yeah,
run,
yeah.
we're just like having a fun discussion. But
No, I mean, I know, but like,
but
I
yeah,
just.
and a lot like magic in pro wrestling, it's like, yeah, when we were kids, we thought it was
Hmm.
real, and now as adults, we respect it as a genre of fiction, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I mean
uh,
that's perfect, man. Because there's people out there that just can't wrap their heads around fiction as a
mhm,
whole,
true,
much less magic. Like, if I can't read about like stuff that really happened in history, like what's the point of this? And I think that's a little miserable way
yeah,
to go about life. But also, I mean, we're all different. We were talking about that with our opinions. So I mean, I I love thinking about fiction in that way,
mhm,
because the fact that we don't have to be constrained by our realities, and talking about going back to like full circle where we're talking
mhm,
about like mental health, to think that there's heroes out there who are doing like amazing stuff, and that like it makes me um it makes me it makes me happy, and it gives me a lot of fun to just play as them or read about them or
mhm.
or watch a movie about them. I think that's more than enough uh to want for it to be real. I think.
That's fair. Man,
Yeah.
I wanted to close out with the magic thing because it was silly and fun at the same time, but
Yeah.
But you mentioned like reading fiction and stuff, so I will
Yeah.
ask, because you mentioned you also read, um,
Yeah.
do you gravitate towards like a certain genre or fiction or nonfiction or like sci-fi or fantasy? Is there something like you gravitate towards, or are you a little more
It's it's
well-rounded?
it's I think a little more well-rounded because like
Mm-hmm.
right now the books that I have um a book about like short horror stories, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love horror. But at the same time, I think that I'm not like cut out for them because I wanted to, tell this brief story that I was writing my review for the game of The Exorcist VR, which it's a really scary game, and even more so in VR.
Yeah, I don't do well
But
with horror, to be honest.
but I was
I don't do
but,
horror
but
movie book any. Well, sometimes books,
I
but
was I was writing the review, and was talking about like demons and like stuff like that, and I remember like I heard the loud noise and I got so scared. And I was thinking, and I told my friend about this. I was like, man, how does Stephen King do it, man? Like, I mean, I was just writing a review about a scary game. I wasn't even thinking about like making a short story of my own, and I was already scared. But anyway, I like
it's funny
horror.
because I told someone recently the reason I don't watch horror movies is because
Yeah.
my brain doesn't need help giving me weird dreams and weird situations to think about. So it's funny that you said while you were doing that you heard something and went off on that.
It's true, man. Our brains can be like our best friend or our worst enemy. We
Hmm.
gotta handle it. We gotta, be aware of it.
Our brain is literally
Uh,
everything. Like if you think about it, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
it
Yeah.
is. It is. It is. And I'm so glad that we've been able to talk about it because it's important to just like it's been a really fun talk overall, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that uh, um, going back to that initial conversation with Michael Phelps and like checking in with friends and checking in like because obviously there's therapy, which is something that we all should do, and talk with a professional, but also just hanging out with
Yeah.
friends
Yeah, there
is
are other outlets
also.
too. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, like just hanging out with friends can like work wonders. If you're having a bad day or not,
For
I think
sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm creating a web, one guest at a time. Is
Yeah,
there
awesome, man.
is there anything like you maybe want to talk about you didn't get a chance to? Is there anything you feel like you need to put out in the world you haven't?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like now that I am turning 31, in 2 months, I mean, I really can't believe it's June already. Sometimes I feel like days pass by a
No,
little
time
quicker
time
than
isn't
I
real.
than I think about. Yeah, but at the same time, I just want to say that I'm really grateful, man. That I'm talking right now with you. That
Mhm.
I've I started writing video game reviews last year on February. I started with Metroid Prime Remastered, and
Hell yeah.
yeah, it's a great game. Yeah, and I started because I think that like my brain sometimes was too much to handle, and like going out for walks or exercising wasn't cutting it. So I think that like I've always written. I've always
Yeah.
my dad is a journalist, so I guess I've always gravitated towards that. So I think that uh, I'm just I'm just glad that I found like an outlet that paid me a little bit to just host my thoughts. I think
Yeah.
that's and to have people read about it, like even if it's just like I don't know 50 views or 100 views. I'm just like, man, whoever um took the time out of their day to like acknowledge me or read my stuff. I think um that's just mind blowing to me. I think that's, I mean, obviously I do try my best to put to whatever it is that I put out into the world to be the best that it can be for me.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, you can do that and still not be acknowledged by anybody. So I'm really glad that I have been
Yeah, yeah.
have this small community with you and other people on social media. So yeah, that's I guess about it. What I wanted to say.
Yeah. Our connections are so important, even if they're as simple as viewer to creator. That's a connection. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like it's a connection. You put a physical thought into someone's life.
Yeah, man. Yeah, obviously, like I just saw today that my podcast, somebody put it like a 5 stars. Like the only review that it has is a 5 star. One person put a
You
five
can't see
star
me,
on
but I'm raising my arms for you in victory.
it. And yeah, I hope that you also get a lot of 5 stars and comments, because I think that the most important thing, other than being able to express your thoughts and have people listen to you, I think what's most important is being able to connect with them. So like if somebody's listening and they want to be part of the conversation, be a part of this web that you're creating, to reach out. I think that's a part of mental health as well. Like reach out, man. If you're not
Yeah.
feeling well, reach out. I think that's one of the most important things that we should do.
Yep, for sure. Well, obviously, you can always reach out to me if you gotta. If you're listening, I think my DMs are open. I say that every week and then never look to make sure I'm saying true things, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we try.
You
That's
sure?
that's what
Yeah,
matters.
for sure. All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm good here. If you're good here,
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
can people
definitely.
find you? Where can people find you?
Where can people find me? My social media is Andres Andres Plays 93 on Twitter X,
Twitter X.
and Andres.plays on Threads. I'm trying to make a small community there, but
Mm-hmm.
I think what works best is just like uploading a lot of pictures and big virtual photography, which I dabble, but there's some really good people out there. So I'm
Yeah.
just.
Where and real quick, where can people find like your work, like your reviews and your?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you go to my Twitter X account, you can see. I mean, the website, which is called GameScreed. But anyway, you can find me on GameScreed and on Noobfeed, are the name of the YouTube channels and of the gaming websites. Lately, I've been doing some like video commentary. You can see me being scared as hell playing the Exorcist game, playing VR, and some other more lighthearted VR games. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff this year actually, and I'm glad that I've been able to talk about it with you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome, man, for sure. All right, cool. Well, you get to know the guy. You know where to find him. I've been Meowth or Johnny, depending on how you know me. He's been AndresPlays. And we're gonna keep being those people, but we're done being those people here. Have a good one.